There we are. Right, welcome back, everybody. After a good discussion on funding employer update, we have a proposal that we note. Our councillors are the committee in favour of that. I can hear nobody else. And that, so we will move on from item 16 to item 17, which is the pension fund administration. Jeff.
Thank you, Chair. This is the regular report to the committee for noting and reflects work across the administration for the period up to the end of December, with officers continuing to work remotely from home and in accordance with TPR COVID guidance. Focus remains on critical processes to ensure the timely payment of member benefits. So to take you through some key aspects through the report, looking at APF performance firstly, processes for retirements and death cases are the main point of focus. I think that's reflected in the appendix 2, Annex 1, where retirements and death cases are sort of amber green. We have had quite a few go through the process over the course of the last 6 months, actually. So I think the volume of cases has caused, in some respects, a bit of a delay in some of our targets. However, when you measure those against the the legal standards, national standards, they fall within, generally speaking. Having said that, other processes are somewhat behind in place, again due to the nature of the work involved and having to work remotely. Transfers particularly are below target. That's partly due to increased controls being put in place that we've put in place to comply with the pension regulators' pledge to combat pension scams. So there are extra controls now that we have there to ensure that we're not protecting members. Member services workload position at the end of December actually reflects a slight reduction over the previous reported quarter. However, this does not include cases that were due to come through and hadn't done from our employer services team in respect of some iConnect leavers through Bristol City Council due to a delay in that employer submitting its monthly data returns. But looking at the employer performance, we continue to keep in touch with all our key employers through this COVID period, and there are no significant issues to report or note at the moment. But as just mentioned, there has been a delay in receiving monthly data uploads from Bristol, and this was due to a change in their payroll software provider, which caused an issue then with the extract. Officers have been monitoring progress to ensure the situation is resolved, and I'm pleased to say at the moment those uploads are coming through, and the employer services team are working on getting those cleared and uploaded. But as I said earlier, that will impact on member services because we'll get cases coming through that then have to be actioned quite quickly. Monthly extracts are now catching up, but inevitably this will impact workload going forward. Work is well underway to manage the year-end project that affects primarily those employers that don't supply monthly data returns. So we're on top of that particular piece of work at the moment. Obviously, where we have employers providing monthly returns, it doesn't cause such an issue. We're cleansing that information as it comes through. But with those employers that don't, we obviously have quite a piece of work to do with those employers at year end. We have around about 63% of our employers currently providing monthly data returns through iConnect. That covers about 85% of the scheme membership. So, we're looking at small employers really for the remaining 15%, but quite a large number of those. And as we mentioned in the service plan earlier, that's a piece of work that we'll be looking to get on top of during the course of the year, so that we can get everyone onboarded by the end of the next financial year, so that we won't have this issue going forward so relevantly. Looking at data improvement, Appendix 4 values the accuracy of data across the fund membership. This is generally a snapshot of the position at any given point in time and doesn't reflect the overall progress made over the longer period. We're actually looking to put together a summary report to actually show improvements that have been made over the course of the last 5 years in that area. And that should be brought to the next committee in June. So I think hopefully that will give a bit of a positive reflection on the work that's been done on the team there. And then just covering off staffing and resource. We've mentioned this already during the meeting, but phase 2 of the recruitment plan has just completed literally in the last few days. And phase 3 will be underway soon with the aim to complete that in early summer. So we've had a mixture of external and internal appointments through that process. Obviously, the internal appointments do cause a backfilling process to be kind of triggered, but that's just the nature of the beast. Again, the training set up within the team has been invaluable in kind of supporting that going forward. I will mention something that we don't report on necessarily, although it's mentioned variously throughout the reports. And that's the work that we do as the administrator for the Fire and Rescue Service. Quite a lot of work has been done, both on a technical nature with ourselves, with the Avon Fire and Rescue, on the immediate detriment situation with firefighters. It's a kind of a fallout from the cloud. And we've working with Fire Authority and with its other sort of other partners to put in place support for any immediate detriment cases that might come out soon. That's quite a significant piece of work for our technical side of things. That's Kate mainly, and obviously impacts on member services team. Happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions, please?
I've got a question, Chair, if that's okay.
Thank you, Shirley.
Hi,
Yes.
Jeff. I think we all recognise the challenge that we've got in terms of delivering in this difficult environment, and the SLA's obviously not always been adhered to. But are we actually managing expectations with members that their actions won't be fulfilled within the normal SLA period, just to prevent any complaints coming forward down the line?
That's a very good point, Shirley. I think I think as a general, I think we have seen a slight increase in maybe complaints coming through, or calls to officers rather than complaints, just to chase things. It's almost with the lack of resource, it's a bit of a perfect storm that's brewed up really with the situation, that we are trying to focus around key critical areas, but at the same time conscious of the fact that there are other issues are very time sensitive. So I think we are trying to just pick up and run as we can with these cases. Yeah. We are trying, certainly on member services team, that they are trying to review workload on a weekly basis, and kind of redistribute that work where there appears to be kind of a bit of a build-up coming through. So that's how it's being dealt with at the moment.
Yeah, it might be something to think about, because I think members generally, if they understand the situation, and if they've been told it's going to take 2 weeks rather than 1 week, then hopefully they'll accept that and won't be chasing you on the phone lines down the line. So it's just something to think about.
Yeah, I think the issue is it depends on how they contact us. So if they contact us digitally, there is a kind of an auto response that goes back to kind of say that, or through MSS. But if it's a letter coming in, that kind of just goes into the process, and is set up as a task. But invariably, that some of those are slipping by. So yeah. But we can look at perhaps how we can deal with those better. We're trying to.
As you say, what you don't want is then for complaints to deal with as well, on top of everything else that you're having to deal with. Sort of catching up with you. But I understand where we are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley. Sean?
Thank you very much. Mine was just to welcome the detailed report we're going to have at the next meeting with regard to the missing member addresses and our data improvement plan. I think it's a really important issue, an ethical issue for us, that we make sure that people are entitled to their pensions, get their pensions, but at the same time, it does cost us a lot of money to do all this tracing. So I'm really looking forward to seeing a lot more details on that, because I assume obviously we've done the low-hanging fruit already, and it's going to get harder and harder as the numbers get smaller and smaller. But yeah, I look forward to that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Sean. Any other questions for Jeff? If there's no other questions, I will thank Jeff and announce the decision that we note. Are we all in favour of noting? I have nobody saying that. So we will move on to item 18, budget and cash flow. David, please.
Thank you, Chair. This is the normal monitoring report for noting. Overall, the admin and governance costs are still within budget, but with an underspend in admin, partially offset by an overspend forecasting governance costs. The Brunel fees have incorrectly been included within the controllable budget. Therefore, the variance of admin and governance costs is actually £455,000 if we exclude all management fees. There are savings from home working, less travel and training costs. The actuarial costs in particular are over budget due to the extra covenant work and employer-specific work due to the pandemic, as well as implementing the new funding modeler.
Okay, thank you, David. Any questions for David, please?
Charles Garish would like to.
Charles? Charles, you're on mute.
I'm on page 243 and I'm somewhat confused by comparing the 11-month actual to the full year forecast under administration. Administration costs and information systems. The 11-month actual is 68. The full year forecast is 54. And on the information system, the 11-month actual is 582 and the full year forecast is 339. I am somewhat confused.
Yeah, so that includes a payment for our Altair system, which part of which relates to next year. So part of that money will be accrued into the next year. So that will, I think it's about 120,000 or something will be accrued into the next year. So that's why that will come in online with budget. But it's just showing that first column you're looking at is the actual payments to date, and then the prepayment will reduce that for the year end.
I'm with you, right. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Charles. Any other questions for David? Don't see anybody else. We're asked to note this report. I move that we actually note it. Is there anybody against us noting this report? No, I see nobody. So we'll move on to work plans. Thank you, David. And we'll work on to work plans with Caroline, please.
Thank you, Chair. Attached to this report are the work plans for the committee and investment panel, which set out the provisional agendas for the year ahead. The dates for future committee and panel meetings are also included. We have also planned 3 workshops over the next year to support the upcoming agenda items and also to cover the training requirements as identified in the Hyman's National Knowledge Assessment. The plan is to hold the workshops prior to the committee meetings and cover the following: actuarial methods and valuation, currently planned for September 21, administration and governance, currently planned for December 21, and finally, investment performance and risk management, currently planned for June 22. Happy to take any questions.
Any questions for Caroline?
I've got a question, Chair, if that's okay.
Thank you, Shirley.
Hi, Caroline.
Hiya.
It was just a broad question about training, really. And I know the 3 workshops that you've mentioned. I wonder whether we also need to have a workshop about our response in terms of climate change. I know there's obviously a lot of work going on at Brunel, but once that's come to fruition and we know what a Paris-aligned portfolio looks like, I think it would be appropriate to make sure the board are completely, or the committee are completely trained on that and understand the implications.
Okay, yeah, we'll certainly take that on board. Thank you, Shirley.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley. Steve?
Yes, hi, Chair. I'd just like to widen that potential 4th workshop to cover both social and governance issues around the ESG environment, not just environmental issues, if that makes sense.
Yes. Noted.
Yes. You happy to take that on, Caroline?
Yep, certainly. Yeah, I'll take that back and we'll discuss it between us. Yeah, thank you.
Excellent, thank you. John?
So I'd just like to support that as well, because I think also it could extend the social angle into things like modern day slavery and the outcome from climate risk and migrants and all that sort of thing. So yeah, it just needs to be a wider subject, I think.
Thank you, John. Sean?
To just have some clarity with regard to Appendix 2 and the investment panel workshop plan, and obviously the 3 workshops that you've got planned, or 2 workshops over 3 dates, looks like on the equity portfolio allocation, that was with regard to our earlier decision to move our equities into low sustainable and low carbon, but to defer moving 100% across until we had this further work done. Is that correct?
Yes.
So in that sense, one of the questions that colleagues have said about climate emergency and the rest of it will be answered in some of those workshops as well as a separate workshop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that will begin the conversation. I don't think we'll just be doing one workshop.
No, but I just meant that series of 3 workshops with regard to the equity allocations in terms of our portfolio is how we start that process, and that's already planned in. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Caroline? No? Thank you, Caroline. I hope that some of these workshops we can actually be all together in a room and not on Zoom, because I think that would be quite good. I think it would make it far more interesting.
Chair, Chair, could I just ask Mark to update us really on the status of Zoom meetings going forward just before we close?
There was direction yesterday from the minister.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tony. it's as clear as you like.
Yeah.
No, I think we've obviously been monitoring it. I know there's ongoing work to try and get the regulations regarding virtual meetings to be extended. I don't think, if I'm correct, I don't think yesterday's announcement covers our area of work as it stands. So we're still due to run out of this provision, I think when the 7th of May comes around. Yeah. So we started to book rooms within, I think, mainly the Guildhall on a provisional basis. So we just need to sort of assess the size of the rooms, because even though they could previously hold a lot more people, the numbers are now quite significantly reduced. So if you take into account how many members there are of this committee, particularly, housing everyone, if everyone wanted to attend, could become quite difficult. So we're going through the stages of seeing what's possible. But as it stands, virtual meetings won't be allowed to continue after the 7th of May. So we're working towards finding a solution, but we're not in a position to sort of fully say yet.
Right. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you, Mark. Sean.
I was just going to say it's pretty much united all of local government against the local government minister in terms of their announcement, which put everyone, surprised everyone, given that the House of Commons are continuing with their scheme for a little bit, and as are the House of Lords. But they somehow reason that everyone in this Zoom call and the general public are immune from COVID-19 now, and therefore we can go back to normal, which I don't think is what the scientists would be saying. And certainly there are councillors and members of the panel who might not have had their vaccines and who might not be in a position to go into them, and they will be excluded from the debate. So I do think hybrid is in order, and I would urge, everyone to do what they can within their own networks to put pressure on the government to revisit this decision, because it's a bit bonkers, in my humble opinion.
Chair, if I could just add it, there are actual legal proceedings in place through the courts to try and get our provisions extended, but and that's hopeful to be rectified during April. I know that's quite a broad window, but they're hopeful for that to be for a solution, or at least an actual decision sometime in April, I believe.
Thank you, Mark. Any other speakers or questions to Caroline? No. Well, I would thank Caroline for her report, and we are asked to note this. Sean, yes, Sean.
Sorry, I thought it was going to be after item 19. I wanted to speak.
Right. Okay. We'll get this one done first. Okay. Yeah. So we're asked to note this one. Is everybody in favour? I see nobody saying they're not in favour. So yes. Okay. So we accept that. Lasse, do you want to speak before I wind the meeting up, Sean?
You may be covering this in terms of we're just going into an election period.
Do you want to do that?
Yeah, sorry, okay. I was just going to say, obviously, some members and their authorities will have elections, so this may or may not be their last meeting. So good luck with your personal elections if you're facing election. And just from my personal point of view, within the Bath and North East Somerset group of the Liberal Democrats, we have internal elections every 2 years. So hopefully Councillor Shern and myself and Councillor Rigby may be continuing after the council AGM, but we may not. So just thought we ought to let you know that, and good luck. I think it's only Councillor Pearce who's facing re-election, so good luck to him.
Thank you, Sean, very kind.
Thank you. Thank you, Sean. I'll just echo those words, and I would actually say that I'm sure Sean and Manda would agree with me that it's been a privilege of serving with you for the last 2 years. And I thank you very much, and I thank everybody watching. And I will now